Do you want to know the one thing that can make a woman completely disregard her own rules, forget her pride, and chase you like her life depends on it? I'm not talking about tricks or cheap manipulation. This is a principle so powerful that even the most self-controlled, independent women will feel an irresistible pull toward you. Machiavelli himself described the art of influence over human desire, and today I'm revealing the exact method that turns attraction into obsession. If you've ever been ignored, undervalued, or left wondering why she didn't commit, listen closely. What I'm about to show you will change everything. By the end of this video, you'll know how to make her break her own boundaries, bend her own rules, and pursue you with a hunger she won't be able to control. This isn't charm, this isn't luck. This is strategy, and it's ruthless. Imagine a woman who appears completely unreachable. She has rules, boundaries, and standards she never bends for anyone. She carries herself with confidence and emotional control, almost as if nothing can affect her. Most men look at her and assume she is impossible to influence, someone who cannot be moved, touched, or tamed. But then something unexpected happens. One man enters her world, and slowly, almost invisibly, she begins to change. She starts breaking the very rules she once protected. She does things she swore she would never do, and her emotions begin following him instead of her own logic. She doesn't understand why. Her instincts, desires, and even her sense of self begin rewriting themselves quietly in the background. Most men never understand why this happens. They assume women are unpredictable, emotional, or simply fell for someone. But the truth is far deeper. Desire follows a hidden psychological pattern that has existed for centuries, studied by some of the greatest minds in human nature. Machiavelli understood that humans are driven more by desire, curiosity, and challenge than by reason. When you understand this pattern, you don't chase her, you pull her. Even the woman who believes she is untouchable finds herself drawn in without noticing. What I'm explaining isn't luck, charm, or wealth. It's not about words or constant attention. This principle works silently, subtly, beneath the surface of her emotions. It doesn't pressure her, it pulls her. Even the strongest, most independent woman can find herself bending or breaking her own rules when this principle is applied correctly. Attraction is not random. It follows laws, patterns, and silent cues that influence her mind and emotions. When you understand these cues, you don't wait for her interest. You guide it. You become the man she respects, admires, and starts questioning her own limits for. She begins testing herself, taking steps toward you, even when she once swore she never would. This is the true mystery of desire, simple, powerful, and quietly transformative. It changes how she feels, thinks, and acts without her even realizing it. And this is what separates ordinary men from the man she breaks her own rules for. This isn't just theory, it's human psychology. When a woman sees a man who isn't dependent on her attention, who doesn't beg for her validation, she starts seeing him as rare, valuable, and powerful. Suddenly, you're no longer just another option she can ignore. You become a puzzle, a challenge, a man who stands apart from all the others. And here's the most important part. The more she tries to reach you, the more she begins to bend her own rules, the boundaries she set for herself, the standards she claimed she would never break. She begins making small compromises, small efforts, all just to connect with you. Being unreachable is not about arrogance. It's about confidence and self-respect. It's about showing that your life is full, your mind is occupied, and your value is clear, even without her constant attention. And the moment you master this, you'll notice the shift instantly. She will start thinking about you when she shouldn't, wondering why she feels drawn to you. And slowly, without even realizing it, she will begin breaking her own rules for your presence, your attention, and your approval. This is the hidden power of being slightly unreachable. A subtle psychological pull that makes you unforgettable. The rule-breaking trigger. Machiavelli once said that human desire rarely follows logic. People are drawn to what feels just out of reach, to things that seem forbidden or unattainable. This is especially true with women. A woman who respects herself, who has rules she follows, and who believes she is in control will naturally resist anyone who tries to influence her. She might have boundaries she set for herself, rules she never breaks, limits she enforces. And for most men, this can feel frustrating or even impossible to overcome. But here's the truth. Desire doesn't work like rules. Desire works on instinct, tension, and emotion. When she senses something rare, something valuable in a man, confidence, independence, control over his own life, her own rules start to bend without her even realizing it. At first, she might tell herself that she won't act impulsively, that she won't chase, that she won't bend her boundaries. She might even feel proud of her self-control, believing she is stronger than the pull of attraction. But deep inside, her instincts are already changing. Her mind starts working in ways she doesn't fully understand. She begins to test herself, to explore limits she never thought she would cross, and to do things she previously considered against her own rules. Small habits begin to shift. Actions she once avoided now seem acceptable. Thoughts she resisted start to occupy her mind. And the more she notices your calm confidence and your refusal to chase or overreact, the more her natural instincts pull her toward you. This is the hidden power that Machiavelli wrote about. The ability to ignite desire without forcing it. To make someone act against their own logic simply by demonstrating value and control. She doesn't even realize she's bending her own rules. It feels like a choice she's making herself. But in reality, her emotions, instincts, and curiosity are guiding her closer to you step by step. Each small action, each rule she breaks, increases her attachment and makes her more invested. By understanding this principle, you're not just attracting her, you're influencing her in the most subtle, powerful way possible. Her boundaries, her self-imposed rules, her pride, all begin to shift without confrontation, without pressure, and without force. And when she finally steps closer to you, crosses her own line, or admits feelings she held back, it's because she couldn't resist the pull you created. Her own rules no longer stand in your way. The art of silence. One of the most powerful and overlooked strategies when it comes to attraction is silence. And I don't mean ignoring her rudely or playing childish games, I mean creating space. Space that allows her mind to notice your value, to fill in the blanks, and to start thinking about you in ways she hasn't before. When you constantly chase, constantly text, constantly react to everything she does, you give her nothing to wonder about. You remove the mystery, and with mystery gone, desire fades. But when you pull back, when you communicate less, when you stop chasing approval, something remarkable happens. Her mind starts working. She begins to imagine scenarios where you might be thinking about her. She recalls past moments you shared, replaying them over and over. She starts asking herself questions. Why didn't he text back immediately? Why does he seem calm? What is he doing? That small gap you create ignites curiosity. Curiosity, as Machiavelli understood, is one of the strongest forces of desire. Once her curiosity is triggered, it slowly turns into craving. She wants your attention, your approval, and your presence, but she doesn't yet know how to get it. This is where silence becomes a tool of subtle influence. It is an emptiness. It's not rejection. It's a psychological pull that nudges her closer to breaking her own rules. The less you chase, the more she wonders, and the more she begins to act in ways she wouldn't normally act. She might take the first step to reach out. She might prioritize time with you over her own habits. She might even test herself, bending her own boundaries just to see if she can reconnect. Silence creates tension. It creates anticipation. Too little, and it fades into darkness. But just the right amount, and it draws her in irresistibly. The key is to reward curiosity and effort. When she reaches out, shows interest, or takes a small step toward you, maybe she initiates conversation, shares something personal, or makes a small gesture, acknowledge it subtly. A small compliment, a thoughtful response, or even a quiet recognition of her effort is enough. This teaches her mind a pattern. She notices that your attention is not automatic. It is earned, rare, and valuable. This subtle reinforcement does something profound. Step by step, it pulls her closer, bending her boundaries and breaking the rules she once set for herself. She begins to act in ways she never imagined, testing herself, taking risks, and sometimes even surprising herself with how much she wants to connect with you. Each time she earns a small piece of your attention, desire grows stronger. She feels the magnetic pull without realizing why. Her mind begins to orbit around you, curious and obsessed, wondering what she could do to gain more of your rare attention. Subtle attention also creates psychological tension. By giving just enough to keep her engaged but not satisfied, you make her want more. She starts thinking about you when you're not around. She analyzes your behavior, remembers the moments when you subtly acknowledged her, and wonders what will happen next. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, she begins to break her own rules. Habits she once protected, limits she once set, and standards she once followed start to shift. All because she has learned that your attention is valuable, rare, and worth bending for. This is the art of influence in action. You're not forcing her to act against herself. Instead, your strategic attention allows her desire and curiosity to guide her, making every move toward you feel like her choice. And the more she experiences this pattern, the stronger the pull becomes until she's drawn to you like a moth to a flame, breaking rules she never thought she would. All because you mastered the subtle art of attention. The final shift. Now, picture this. After you've mastered mystery, emotional scarcity, confidence, silence, and subtle attention, something extraordinary happens. She begins crossing lines she never thought she would. Maybe she's the one initiating conversations now, reaching out first, or finding ways to spend time with you. Maybe she starts compromising habits she once held sacred, bending rules she never imagined bending. Maybe she even admits feelings she had been hiding, denying to herself or struggling to understand. At first, it might feel small or subtle, but each step she takes is a sign of her desire and shifting boundaries. This isn't random, and it isn't luck. This is strategic influence, the type Machiavelli wrote about centuries ago. Human desire is powerful, but it can be shaped, guided, and amplified by the right combination of presence, psychology, and subtle action. You've created a pull that she can't ignore. It's invisible, quiet, and yet unstoppable. She feels it internally, even if she doesn't understand why. She's drawn to you not just for attraction or appearance, but because curiosity, challenge, and respect have created a magnetic tension. She wants to engage with you, to reach you, to be closer to you, even if it goes against rules she set for herself. The brilliance of this approach is that it feels natural to her. She believes every move she makes is her choice. She doesn't feel forced or manipulated. She feels like she is acting on her own instincts, on her own desires, and that's what makes the pull so strong. Once she thinks it's her choice, her attachment deepens, her desire intensifies, and the boundaries she once relied on begin to crumble. She is no longer resisting. She is actively moving toward you, testing herself, and breaking habits she once believed were unbreakable. This is the final shift, a transformation where attraction becomes obsession, where curiosity becomes craving, and where her own rules no longer hold power over her actions. She begins acting in ways she never thought she would. Steps guided not by pressure, but by the irresistible influence you've quietly created. And because she feels it's her choice, she becomes more invested, more committed, and more drawn to you than ever before. This is the ultimate power of understanding desire, influence, and human psychology, creating a pull so strong that she breaks her own rules, all on her own. It makes you unpredictable in the best possible way. And unpredictability, when paired with value and confidence, becomes irresistible. She will start to chase not because you told her to, but because her mind and instincts are drawn to you. She wants to understand you, to capture your attention, and even to break the rules she set for herself, all without you forcing her hand. That is the real power of silence. It's a quiet form of influence that works on the deepest level of desire, making her come to you, think about you constantly, and act against the rules she once thought were unbreakable. Emotional scarcity. One of the most powerful secrets of attraction is something most men completely overlook. Emotional scarcity. Humans naturally chase what feels rare or hard to obtain, and women are no different. Machiavelli himself understood this principle centuries ago. He explained that desire grows strongest when it cannot be fully satisfied. If something feels too easy to get, it loses value. But if it feels just out of reach, the mind begins to obsess. This is why if a woman senses that your attention isn't guaranteed, she starts investing emotionally without even realizing it. When you don't over-communicate, when you don't make yourself available at every moment, she begins to notice your absence. It's not neglect, it's strategic scarcity, and her mind starts working in ways that are impossible to control. She begins to compete silently, subconsciously, not with other women, but with herself. She tests her own limits, pushes against her usual habits, and starts bending her own rules. All because your presence has suddenly become something valuable she can't take for granted. Each small action she takes toward you is an investment of her attention, her desire, and even her pride. This is how emotional scarcity creates a magnetic pull. She prioritizes you without you ever demanding it. She will notice your time, your energy, and the moment she shares with you more than anything else. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, her internal rules begin to shift. Habits she once protected, boundaries she once enforced, even standards she once followed, all start to bend. She begins to act in ways that surprise even herself, moving closer to you naturally without force or pressure. And the most powerful part, she believes every step she takes is her own decision. She feels like she's choosing to break her rules, but in reality, the scarcity you created is guiding her every move. This principle is subtle, but it's devastatingly effective. Emotional scarcity creates obsession, increases desire, and compels action. When used correctly, it turns her attention, her time, and even her own self-control into tools that draw her closer to you. She starts chasing not because she has to, but because she wants to. Because scarcity has made your value undeniable. And that, my friend, is how a woman begins breaking her own rules without you ever asking, without you ever pushing, simply because your presence became rare and priceless. Confidence as a weapon. One of the most powerful tools a man can have, more than wealth, more than charm, more than words, is confidence. But I'm not talking about arrogance, boasting, or showing off. I'm talking about calm, steady confidence, the kind that comes from knowing your value, being comfortable in your own skin and refusing to bend for anyone's approval. This type of confidence is magnetic. It draws people in without you even trying. And when a woman senses this kind of presence, something remarkable begins to happen. She starts testing herself. Why does this happen? Humans are naturally drawn to powerful presences, to people who are self-contained, who have control over their lives, and who carry themselves like leaders. When a woman senses that you are steady, independent, and untouchable, she can't help but feel a challenge. She wonders, sometimes unconsciously, if she can reach you, if she can earn your attention, or if she can impress you. This curiosity creates tension, and tension is desire. The more she feels your calm confidence, the more her mind starts bending her own rules. She may take actions she swore she wouldn't take. She may compromise habits she valued. She may even act impulsively, testing herself against the invisible boundary you represent. Confidence, when paired with consistency, is like a silent weapon. You don't need to chase, beg, or manipulate. You simply exist in your own power, and her instincts begin to react. She starts breaking her own rules without thinking. Every step she takes closer to you feels natural, even self-directed. But it is your presence that is shaping her choices. She will notice your calm, measured approach, your refusal to overreact, your steady control over your own life, and she will be compelled to engage with you in ways she never imagined. This is why confidence is far more powerful than any line, gift, or text message. It's the ultimate test of value. A woman who respects herself and her boundaries will naturally resist. But when she senses a man who doesn't need her validation, who is unwavering in his self-worth, her resistance begins to crack. She will take steps toward you, break rules she set for herself, and even surprise herself with how much she wants to be closer to you. Confidence doesn't push her. It pulls her subtly, irresistibly, and effectively, turning her desire into action without her ever realizing the influences at work. Subtle attention. Now that you've mastered confidence and emotional scarcity, the next step is subtle attention. And this is where the magic truly begins. Many men make a fatal mistake. They either ignore her completely or overwhelm her with compliments, texts, and constant validation. Both extremes destroy attraction. The secret is to give attention strategically in a way that makes her feel seen, valued, and curious without losing your own power. Think of attention like fire. Too much and it burns everything down. Now, let's put everything together. The final piece of the puzzle. By combining mystery, emotional scarcity, confidence, silence, and subtle attention, you create a force so powerful that it doesn't just make her interested, it makes her break her own rules. And she does it for you, not anyone else. This is the difference between simple attraction and true mastery of influence. This isn't about tricking her or forcing her to do something against her will. This is about understanding human psychology, observing how desire works, and applying it wisely to create a natural, unstoppable pull. Women don't simply chase a man they like. They chase challenge, curiosity, and a sense of control. They chase the feeling of testing their own limits and exploring boundaries. And when you create the right combination of presence and strategy, they begin bending those boundaries for you. They want to understand you, to reach you, and to earn your attention. And the more they feel it's their choice, the stronger the pull becomes. Each move you make, every moment of calm confidence, every pause, every subtle acknowledgement creates tension, desire, and attraction that grows naturally. When you master this principle, you are no longer just a man she likes. You become a presence she can't resist, a puzzle she must solve, and a force that quietly influences her choices and actions. She starts acting in ways she never imagined, taking steps that surprise even herself. All because your presence has rewired her instincts and her desire. Every boundary she once protected, every rule she once enforced begins to bend naturally toward you. This is true mastery of attraction. It's subtle, strategic, and powerful. It creates a dynamic where she feels free yet irresistibly drawn to you. She isn't following commands, she is following her own instincts, which you've carefully guided. And when you reach this level, the pull becomes almost magnetic. She will think about you, prioritize you, and bend her own life around your presence. All because you mastered the art of influence and desire. Remember, this is not luck, charm, or manipulation. It is strategy, psychology, and understanding human nature at the deepest level. When applied correctly, women will chase you, test themselves, and break their own rules, because the force you create is far stronger than anything she has felt before. This is the ultimate power. Being a man she cannot resist, a force she must navigate, and a presence that changes the way she acts, thinks, and desires. If you've ever witnessed a woman break her own rules for someone, or if it's happened to you personally, drop your story in the comments. Tell me what she did, why you think she did it, and how it made you feel when she crossed the boundaries she once swore she'd never touch. And if you're truly ready to master this level of influence, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. In the upcoming videos, I'll be revealing even deeper Machiavellian principles and the hidden psychology that makes a woman chase you with relentless intensity. Don't just watch these lessons. Absorb them, apply them, and see the power of real influence unfold in your life.